started.
Building a personal brand business.
What are people raving about? How can I do more of that?
Culture, this instant gratification.
I'm going to do this. It's a tactical meeting, so we remember who agreed what.
3 of this framework is to create raving fans.
Am I Hawaiian? Because
Hey there, Shakers, and welcome back to another episode of Worth Your Salt, the podcast that's here to supercharge your marketing in the health and wellness space. I'm Jennifer Orqua, StoryBrand certified coach, and over the past 2 decades, my team and I have tested, iterated, and figured out what it takes to market and grow so you don't have to. Now I'm here to help you apply the marketing systems that truly work. At Salt Marketing, we're all about helping wellness practitioners like you build trust, authority, and a nonstop flow of clients. So if you're ready to take your practice to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Now, if you've been feeling a little overwhelmed by marketing, unsure who to listen to, or wondering what really matters in your plan for 2026, this episode is for you. Today, we're cutting through the noise and talking about what actually works for med spa owners and wellness practitioners right now, and what's changing in the year ahead. This isn't about chasing the next shiny tactic or trying to do more. It's about getting clear, grounded, and excited again about the impact you can make, the community you can build, and the opportunities in front of you. So stick with me, because by the end of this episode, you'll have a calmer perspective, a clearer plan, and a renewed sense of confidence about how to grow your practice in 2026 without losing yourself in the process. So while we can't really sit elbow to elbow to do this, I want you to enjoy this episode as though you and I are sitting at a table together. No slides, no jargon, no pressure to have everything figured out. Maybe you've got a cup of coffee, maybe you've opened a notes app or grabbed a piece of paper. And instead of talking in big abstract marketing terms, we're going to calmly and practically walk through what a smart, realistic 2026 internet marketing plan actually looks like for your wellness business, a step-by-step in a way that makes sense and feels doable. First, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the last year from a wider lens, almost like a 30,000-foot view. Because when we talk about planning for 2026, we can't ignore the environment we've all been operating in. On a macro level, here in the US and globally, there's been a lot of uncertainty. Economic shifts, policy changes, market volatility, rising costs, a general feeling that things feel less predictable than they used to. You didn't imagine that. We saw markets swing sharply. We saw prices rise. We saw conversations around inflation, the value of the dollar. Economic stability became part of everyday life. And for most people, that translated into something very simple and very real. Everything just feels more expensive. And there's a lingering question of what's next. So when that kind of uncertainty hangs in the air long enough, it starts to create fear, sometimes loud fear, sometimes quiet fear, but either way, it seeps into the collective. And if you're someone who's sensitive, which many people in wellness are, you probably felt it. Even on days when nothing specific was wrong, there might have been this underlying heaviness, a low-grade anxiety, sort of a sense of being on edge without actually knowing why. Here's why I'm bringing that up. Because that fear is contagious. We pick it up from the news, from conversations, from our clients and patients, from social media and the people around us. And if we're not careful, that fear starts to drive our decisions, especially in business. And fear is a terrible advisor. Some of the worst decisions we make as leaders happen when we're operating from fear instead of clarity. We hesitate when we should move. We pull back when we should invest. We play small when we're actually being called to step forward. For many people, 2025 put them into that state, not because they did anything wrong, but because the environment itself was heavy. Now, here's the reframe I want to offer you. Hard seasons are the seasons that teach us the most. As humans, we tend to learn through challenge. Growth usually asks something of us. It stretches us and forces us to look at what's working, what isn't, and what needs to be released. So if the past year was difficult for you, personally, professionally, financially, or emotionally, I want you to pause and acknowledge that. And then ask yourself, what am I meant to learn from this? And as we head into 2026, time matters. Not in a panic way, but in an intentional way. There's so much growth available right now, so much expansion, so much opportunity for our businesses that if we're willing to stay grounded, stay connected, and stay clear about where we're going. And that's why this episode isn't about reacting to fear. It's about regaining your center and getting perspective, making thoughtful, confident decisions instead of emotional ones. It's also why community, being in the room with other business owners, learning together, talking openly, and supporting one another matters more than ever. Because fear shrinks when we're connected. Clarity grows when we're not isolated. So if the last year knocked you around a bit, let's not carry that forward unconsciously. Let's use it. Let's learn from it and build what comes next from a place of intention, not fear. I also want to talk about something that I know many of you are feeling, even if you haven't quite put it into words yet. And that's the sheer amount of marketing noise in the med spa and wellness industry right now. There's a lot of it. And if you've been on Instagram or LinkedIn or just checking your inbox, you've probably seen it. the bold promises, the flashy reels, the guarantees that sound almost too good to be true, because honestly, they usually are. Here's my perspective. After decades in marketing and years of working deeply in wellness, a lot of people targeting wellness business owners right now are doing it for the wrong reasons. They didn't come into this industry because they care about patient outcomes or long-term business health or even helping practices grow sustainably. They came into it because they thought it looked like a fast way to make money, a trendy niche, a shortcut. You can spot it pretty quickly. These are the videos that are yelling 90 leads in 90 days or you don't pay. The oversimplified promises that ignore the reality of how complex and human this business actually is. Because here's what I'm seeing happen as things get harder and more nuanced. Those people are falling away. The moment the industry proves to be more complex than they expected, the moment results require real strategy, real systems, and real patience, the moment they realize that this isn't a push-button business, they're out. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. What I believe we're seeing and what I think we're going to continue to see in 2026 is a real culling of the fold, a thinning out of the noise. And while that can feel uncomfortable in the moment, it's actually incredibly healthy for this industry. Because the people who stay, the marketers, the partners, the consultants, and the business owners like you are the ones who are here for the right reasons. And I want to say this clearly, especially if you're listening as a practice owner. If you're building a business in the med spa or wellness space, you need to be doing it for more than money. Now, don't get me wrong, profit matters, sustainability matters, and of course, growth matters. But if money is the only reason someone is here, whether that's a marketer or even a business owner, this industry is going to chew them up and spit them out. Honestly, there are easier ways to make money. What makes this industry special and what makes it hard is that it's deeply human. When I talk about the med spa and wellness industry, I'm talking about people who are committed to helping others look better, feel better, regain their confidence, restore their health, and rise into a better version of themselves. That's not transactional work. That's transformational work. And those are the people we love working with. Those are the clients who thrive with us at Salt Marketing. The ones who care deeply about their patients and their teams and their communities. The ones who want to build something meaningful and lasting, not just something flashy. These are the change makers, and here's why this matters for your 2026 marketing plan. As the noise dies down, clarity becomes more valuable. As the shortcuts disappear, strategy wins. And as the hype fades, trust and consistency rise to the top. The practices that are going to grow in 2026 are not the ones chasing every loud promise. They're the ones who slow down just enough to build the right foundation, to partner with people who understand their mission and commit to doing things the right way, even when it takes longer. So if you felt overwhelmed by marketing messages or skeptical or burned in the past, I want you to hear this as reassurance. You're not cynical, you're discerning. And discernment is exactly what is going to serve you well in this next chapter. So I want to talk about something that might make my fellow marketers squirm a little if they heard me say it, but it's incredibly important as we head into 2026. Your clients and patients don't want more content from you. Content is everywhere now. It's literally a commodity. It can be outsourced. It can be generated by AI in seconds. And while content still matters, it absolutely does, it's no longer the differentiator that it once was. So why am I saying this? Because here's the shift I want you to really hear. People aren't choosing you because of your content. They're choosing you because of you. Today, your patients, your clients, your audience, they have options, more options than ever before. They can compare online, they can research, they can keep scrolling, they can ask AI for recommendations. And when it comes time to actually choose who they trust, who they want to book with, who they'll walk into a room with, one of the biggest deciding factors is the individual behind the business. Whether we like it or not, people are responding to who you are. They're either magnetized and drawn to you or they're not. They're either drawn in by your energy, your voice, and your values and your presence, or they quietly move on, and that's okay. There are people who don't connect with the way I teach how to market your business, and that's fine because I'm being me. I support this industry based on my unique experiences and what I know works. See, the more authentically you show up as yourself, the more you naturally attract the right people for you. Because if you're marketing wellness services and saying, I want to help you, but deep down you don't actually care about helping people, people feel that. Even if they can't articulate it, they feel it. But if you truly care, if you're genuinely in this work because you want to help people live better, feel better, be more confident, heal, and grow, that comes through in ways that no AI-generated content ever could. Your voice carries that. Your presence carries that. Your relationships carry that. You weren't put on this earth to crank out social media posts. You weren't meant to sound like everyone else. You're here to share your gifts with the people who need them most. And in 2026, the businesses that build real momentum won't be the ones with the flashiest campaigns or the loudest promises. They'll be the ones that align themselves with the right people, the right partners and the right resources, people and systems that support who they actually are, not who they think they're supposed to be online. If you're like most wellness business owners I talk to, you're not short on ideas. You're short on clarity. And honestly, you're short on time. So let's get back to our 2026 plan. Maybe you've been DIYing your marketing over the last year and you've worked hard. Your website's getting traffic, your social media is active, but the bookings aren't matching the effort. Or maybe you've invested money in the last year, but you're still not sure what you got back, which is the worst feeling. It's like, did that work? Did it not? Should we keep doing it? Should we stop? Or maybe you've talked to multiple marketers and every person has a different opinion about what you need, and it leaves you feeling even more uncertain than when you started. If any of that hits close to home, I just want you to know you're not behind, you're not broken. Like I said, marketing in this industry has gotten noisier and the choices are endless. The goal today isn't to give you one more tactic. The goal is to give you a plan that keeps you from chasing tactics in the first place. Here's the big idea I want to build this episode around. Most people jump straight into what they should do. Should we do Instagram? Should we run Google ads? Should we post on TikTok? Should we hire someone? But the real order of operations is goals first, then strategy, then tactics. And when we do it in that order, everything gets easier. You can stop guessing, you stop reacting, you can start making decisions that actually connect to revenue. So before we build your plan, I want to talk about what's changing as we head into 2026, because we're not planning in the same world we were planning in even just a year or 2 years ago. The first shift is this idea that search isn't just Google anymore. Google still matters, and it matters a lot, but it's no longer the only place people go when they're looking for answers. People are asking ChatGPT. They're using Perplexity. They're using Claude. And what's interesting is that these tools aren't pulling answers out of thin air. They're using signals from your online presence. They're pulling from your website, your reviews, your Google business profile, and even listings like Yelp and other platforms. So when you're planning for 2026, I don't want you thinking SEO for Google. I want you thinking search everywhere. The goal is to be easy to find wherever your ideal clients are looking. The second shift is online scheduling. Whether we personally love it or not, your clients are increasingly conditioned to do things quickly from their phones. They order groceries, they book hair appointments, they schedule travel. And when they have to call a practice and leave a voicemail and wait for a call back, it creates friction, little speed bumps in the customer journey. And friction is expensive. It costs you leads, it costs you bookings. So if you take nothing else from this episode, let it be this. Removing friction is one of the simplest ways to increase results without spending more money. Right alongside that is two-way texting and chat. People value their time, and a lot of them would rather send a quick text than make a phone call and explain everything out loud. That doesn't mean you stop answering the phone. It just means you meet your market where they are. You give them options. And the practices that do this well, especially when it's integrated with good follow-up, tend to win. And that brings me to the next shift, speed to lead. If someone fills out a form and no one follows up, or they get a response 2 days later, that lead usually doesn't convert. Not because they weren't interested, but because they had other options and they moved on. The best practices I see, the ones that are scaling, are putting systems in place so that the follow-up happens fast, consistently, and in a way the lead actually prefers. The last shift I want to mention is authenticity. Yes, AI can create content, it can generate ideas, it can help with messaging. We use it, but what AI can't replace is the feeling of a real person showing up. Video-based content still works because trust still matters. And in a world where everything is getting more automated and more samey, being real is a serious differentiator. Before we move into setting goals and mapping out the numbers, there's one more piece of your 2026 plan that I don't want to skip, because it has nothing to do with algorithms, platforms, or technology, and everything to do with you. And that's being in the room. Over the years, I've talked to so many med spa owners and wellness businesses who have never attended a live industry event, or maybe they went to one years ago and decided it wasn't for them. And what I hear a lot is, I can just watch a webinar, or I can catch the replay, or I'll learn everything I need online. And of course, Zoom has its place, online education has its place. We use it too. But here's what I want you to hear from me very honestly as someone who has built businesses and worked with hundreds of clients and attended more events than I can count. There's no replacement for being in the room with other humans who are building businesses like yours. There's something that happens at live events that simply does not happen on a screen. When you're in a room with other med spa owners, wellness practitioners, founders, operators, people who are ambitious and curious and creative, it changes you. It changes the way you think about growth. It changes what it feels possible. It changes the questions that you ask yourself. You'll hear conversations at lunch that spark ideas you never would have had on your own. You realize the challenges you're facing aren't just your challenges. You see people a few steps ahead of you, and suddenly the next level feels attainable instead of intimidating. And honestly, there's an energy to it, a kind of momentum, a reminder that you're not doing this alone. That's one of the reasons that we put so much emphasis on events here at Salt Marketing, and why we've curated and shared our list of the top health and wellness conferences on our website. These aren't random events. These are gatherings where real conversations happen about growth, operations, marketing, and leadership, and what it actually takes to build a sustainable wellness business in today's environment. So as we head into 2026, I believe this matters more than ever because AI is accelerating, technology is moving fast, and marketing is evolving quickly. And when everything feels like it's changing at once, it's incredibly grounding and powerful to step into a room full of people who are navigating the same landscape. So if you take nothing else from this section, let it be this. Make it a priority in the next 12 months to attend at least one live industry event. Put it on your calendar. Put it in the budget. Treat it like a strategic investment, not just in your business, but in yourself. You don't need to attend to everything. You don't need to fly across the country every quarter, but you do need moments where you step out of the day-to-day, lift your head up, and reconnect with the bigger picture of why you're building what you're building in the first place. Because the magic doesn't just happen on stage. It happens in the hallway conversations. It happens over coffee. It happens when you realize you belong in that room. And that clarity, that confidence, that renewed energy carries you straight back into how you lead, how you market, and how you grow. So if you're thinking about your 2026 plan, don't just plan campaigns and content. Plan to be in the room. All right, now that you've talked about mindset, momentum, and connection, let's get back to the nuts and bolts and start putting a real structure around your goals for 2026. Here's the good news. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to do all the things. You just need a plan that works together as a system. At Salt Marketing, we talk about what we call our digital dominance model. It's basically a roadmap, so marketing doesn't feel like random disconnected activities. First, we focus on getting found. Visibility, SEO, map rankings, listings, all of those items. Then we focus on getting booked, your website, your calls to action, your booking flow, your offers, and your reputation. Third, we focus on standing out, clear messaging, a brand presence that feels like you. Then from there, we build an audience, build a list, build authority through content and partnerships, and then we use automation to make it all run smoothly. Finally, once the organic engine is working, paid ads can extend your reach and scale what's already proving itself. I'm telling you this because I want you to feel relief. When you have a structure like this, you're no longer wondering what to do next. You're just strengthening the next part of the system. All right, so now we're going to get practical. I'm going to guide you through this in a way that you can do with a notepad. First, let's take a quick snapshot of where you are right now, because setting goals without a starting point is like trying to plan a road trip without knowing what city you're in. So if you can, jot down 4 things. What's your average monthly revenue right now? About how many revenue generating appointments or clients do you serve in a typical month? What's your average value per booking? Just a rough number, an average. And how full is your schedule? If you're at 60% capacity, 80%, or if you're booked solid and growth means adding another provider, that matters. Don't worry about being exact. We're not doing our taxes here. We're planning and round numbers will work. Next, I want to call our shot for 2026. I love this idea because it brings you to clarity. What's the revenue goal you're aiming for the end of the year? And I want you to pick a number that feels like a stretch, but still feels believable, doable. Something that makes you sit up a little straighter and go, okay, that would be amazing, but not something so far away that it feels like a fantasy. Here's the part most people skip, your why. Why does that goal matter to you? Not in a vague way, in a real way. At Salt, we sometimes talk with our clients about 3 layers of why: me, us, and them. The me is how the goal affects you personally, whether that's more time for your family, less stress, more financial freedom, the ability to finally take a real vacation without your laptop open. The us is how it affects your team and your family, the ability to pay people well, create stability, hire support, and build something sustainable. And the them is how it impacts the people you serve, the clients who need you, the community you're helping, and the difference that you're making. You don't have to have a why for all 3, but you do want to have at least one that genuinely motivates you. And then I want you to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to making this real? Not committed to trying, committed to doing what it takes. Again, there's no judgment here. This isn't for anyone else. This is just information for you. Because you're at a 5, we plan differently than if you're at a 10. Now, if we're going to do the part that creates instant clarity, we're going to reverse engineer with the math. This is where a lot of people suddenly have a breakthrough because more marketing turns into actual measurable targets. So start with your annual revenue goal that you just decided on and divide it by 12. That gives you your average monthly revenue target. Then take that monthly target and divide your average booking value. That gives you the number of bookings you need per month to get to that number. And now the big one, leads. Think about your current conversion rate. So out of every 10 leads that come in the door, how many are turning into a booking? If you get 10 inquiries and 4 become bookings, that's a 40% conversion rate. So take your bookings per month goal and divide that by your conversion rate. This gives you the number of leads you need each month to reach that revenue goal. And when you see that number, one of 2 things happens. Either you go, oh, this is totally doable, we just need to be consistent, or you go, wow, that's higher than I expected, which is also good news because now you know you're not guessing. Now you know what you're building toward. We do have a lead generation calculator available for free on our website at saltmarketing.co. Just go to saltmarketing.co/calculator. Because then once we know our lead target, we can talk about our budget in a calm and rational way, without fear and without weird emotional decision making. So here's what I want you to consider. You don't have to spend a fortune, but you do need to spend consistently, and you need to spend in a way that matches your growth goals. So if you want to maintain what you're doing, your marketing spend can be a smaller percentage. If you want moderate growth, your spend might be a little bit more. And if you want accelerated growth, you spend more than that. The exact percentages vary by business, but the principle is the same. If you want a different outcome, something has to change. Usually it's the budget, the conversion rate, the follow-up systems, or all three. Once you pick a monthly marketing budget, I like to break it into 3 buckets. One bucket is online marketing, your visibility, your lead generation. The next bucket is offline marketing, local sponsorships, community partnerships, print placements, whatever makes sense for your specific market. And then that third bucket is spent on retention, marketing to people who already know you. Those are your past clients, your past leads, people who came in once but never returned, people who inquired but didn't book. And I'll tell you, this is one of the biggest missed opportunities I see. Practices spend so much time and money chasing new leads, and they don't follow up with the people who already raised their hand. And that's leaving money on the table. Again, you can use the marketing budget calculator at saltmarketing.co/calculator, play with it, get some clarity around the investment required to get you to your goals in 2026. Now, as we build the strategy, I want you to picture your marketing plan as a simple 3-part engine. First, we drive leads. Second, we maximize conversion. Third, we optimize those results. The first part of your engine is driving leads, all about choosing the channels that make the most sense. We love an organic first foundation because when SEO and online listings and your website content are dialed in, those leads tend to be high quality and lower cost over time. And yes, SEO still matters. We've seen our wellness clients in highly competitive markets generate the majority of their leads from organic traffic, even while running paid ads, which keeps their overall costs lower and their results more stable. Then we can layer in paid ads and search when you need a more predictable demand. Paid ads aren't bad, they're powerful when done correctly. But the mistake I see is when someone runs ads to a generic homepage with no clear next step and no conversion strategy behind them, that's how people get burned. Done well, paid search matches intent, sends people to the exact page they were looking for, and gives them a clear reason to take action. Then there's database marketing, what I call fishing in your own pond. Following up with those past leads, inviting past clients back in, creating offers and communication that keep you top of mind. This is where practices can often grow without needing a massive spike in ad spend. The second part of the engine is maximizing conversion. This is where your website matters so much, because even if someone finds you on Google Maps or sees your ad or hears about you from a friend, what do they do next? They look you up. They check reviews. They visit your website. And your website is either going to make it easy to book or it's going to quietly lose the lead. So we want clear calls to action, online scheduling, fast mobile performance, and trust-building design. Real photos of real people, strong messaging, and a secondary option for people who aren't ready yet, something that helps you build your email list so you can nurture them. Reputation is part of the conversion too. Reviews aren't just nice to have. They're a major ranking factor for Maps and Google and a major trust signal for real humans. One of the best things you can do is automate review requests after a great appointment and do it consistently so you're always generating fresh reviews. Then there's automation. This is where practices truly separate themselves. Speed to lead, consistent follow-up, text messaging, email nurture, reactivation, referral requests. When we put good automation in place, conversion improves because fewer leads fall through the cracks. The last part of your marketing engine for 2026 is optimizing results. This is where we stop guessing and start scaling. You want to know what you spent, how many leads you got, where those leads came from, what your cost per lead is, and what your ROI looks like. Even if it's a projected ROI at first, it gives you some clarity, and clarity will give you confidence. Because here's the truth, marketing isn't scary when you can measure it. At the end of this episode, I want you to walk away with 3 clear action steps for January. Not 15, not everything we talked about, just 3. Make sure your 3 are adding online scheduling, setting up a great automated follow-up sequence, and launching a review automation. Or maybe your 3 are rebuilding your core service pages for SEO, tightening up your homepage messaging, and starting a monthly reactivation email to past leads. The right 3 depend on where you're starting. And if you're not sure where to start, there's a simple way to choose. Think back to those 3 parts of the engine. Are you weakest at driving leads, converting clients and patients, or optimizing? Wherever you're weakest, that's your first priority, because it's usually the bottleneck holding everything else back. So I want to leave you with something that feels both grounding and energizing, because I truly believe this is one of the biggest opportunities sitting in front of our industry as we move into 2026. Do the things that are hard, not because you need to hustle or grind or prove your worth, but because the hard things have quietly become the advantage. Do the things that people are slowly getting too distracted, too automated, or too disconnected to do anymore. Here's what I mean. AI can generate your content, it can write your emails, it can suggest strategies, but it can't host a live event. It can't create the energy that happens when people gather in a room together. It can't replicate the trust that's built when someone meets you face to face. It can't replace the feeling of being seen, supported, and understood by a real human. And that matters, especially in the med spa and wellness space. This is an industry built on connection, on trust and transformation, on helping people feel better in their bodies, more confident in themselves, and more hopeful about what's possible. And after the year we've all just come through, people need that more than ever. Let's be honest, 2025 was hard. It was heavy, it was uncertain, and a lot of people are tired. They're overwhelmed, and they're feeling disconnected from their bodies, from their health, and each other. And that's exactly why what you do matters so much right now. This industry isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline, which is why I want to encourage you very intentionally to step out from behind your screen in 2026 and into your community. Attend events, get involved locally, host events for your clients, patients, and partners. Create spaces where people can gather and learn and ask questions and feel supported. It doesn't have to be complicated. What matters isn't the scale. What matters is the intention. Because when people come together in real life, something shifts. Suddenly, you're not just a provider in this industry, you're a leader. People don't just consume information from you, you build trust. And a booking becomes a relationship. And these things take effort, they take planning, they take showing up. But most people underestimate how much they affect the people around them. So the kindness that you show, the reassurance that you give, and the way that you listen, the confidence that helps restore someone who's been struggling. When you do that in your practice, you're not just delivering a service, you're expanding your purpose. And if all people wanted was information, they wouldn't come to you. They'd Google it. They'd ask ChatGPT. Think about it. If all you wanted was more content, you wouldn't listen to a podcast like this. And if you made it this far, clearly we're connected now. So as we step into 2026, I want you to get excited. Excited about what our industry has to offer, excited about the lives you get to impact, excited about the opportunity to lead with heart, clarity, and connection. Yes, the game is changing, technology is evolving, but the constant will always be this: being of service to people. That's who we're here for at Salt Marketing, the change makers, the practitioners who care deeply, the business owners who want to grow without losing their soul, and you're one of them. So don't miss this moment, don't sit it out, don't shrink back. This is your opportunity to serve more deeply, connect more intentionally, and build something truly meaningful. I hope this episode encouraged you, and if it did, I'd love to continue to support you. Follow along on our socials, our blog, our YouTube, join us for an event in 2026, and share with our community how you're connecting with our people. Here's to 2026, to new beginnings, to expansion and growth in all the ways that matter. A solid marketing plan for 2026 doesn't require you to become a different person. It doesn't require you to post every day or chase every platform. It requires clarity, consistency, and a system that you can actually sustain. We'll be here supporting you, sharing what we're seeing, and walking this path alongside you. I'm excited, I'm energized, and I hope you are too. Write down your 2026 goals, write down your monthly lead target, and decide what you're willing to invest. Choose your top 3 priorities for January and get intentional about your plan. Thank you, Salt Nation, for joining me for this episode. If this inspires a great success story in your practice, I'd love to talk with you and share your story. So tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. Be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.